Not plugging it in because I don't need it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's StepsBasic, and welcome back to my community show. Yeah, I had to pay an actual musician to record one of those for me at some point. But anyway, apart from all that, that's not what's important. Let's go on with announcements for the day, for the week, actually. So, this was an interesting week. I had doctor's appointment, so missed a day because I was just too tired to edit, which, says something about the state of my life at the moment. On the plus side, on the other hand, I am working out more often these days. I've got up to an hour on my bike, which is woo, every day except for Sundays, which I kind of take off to rest and recover. And this week, I actually kicked it down to 45 minutes on the bike and then additional 15 minutes of weightlifting. And I kind of want to kick it up from there to an hour on the bike, 30 minutes on the weights, etc. You know what I mean. Anyway, so that's not what's important. This is the gaming channel. We want to talk about the games, man. I'm really loving that whole I Need a New Job series. I hope y'all are too. I played Viscera Cleanup for the first time ever this week, and it was actually a lot of fun. And I didn't really know what the game was about other than cleaning up Viscera. I'd seen some other YouTuber play it. I think it was Markiplier. I saw him play it at one point a while back. But yeah, it's been a while. And apart from that, Last of Us 2 is moving along, and that's actually part of the reason I am doing this video today. See, The Last of Us Part 2, leading us into our topic of the day, is a vengeance story. And I've mentioned a few times in my videos that I don't like vengeance stories. Now, I was going to say this to actually talk about during the final thoughts video for The Last of Us Part 2, but I decided, rather than detract from the game, I would talk about vengeance stories in a separate video, this one in particular. And we're going to talk about why I don't like vengeance stories. First of all, there's vengeance, and then there's justice. Vengeance is not really justice. I mean, for one thing, we never commit acts of vengeance for anything other than selfish reasons. And that's the biggest reason why I don't like vengeance stories, because vengeance stories are the adult equivalent of, but he hit me first. And yes, it entails all of the characters, at the very least the main characters, to act like children. But children with deadly weapons. See, that's the thing about vengeance. It is never something that you do for the person who passed. You do it for yourself. It is very much a selfish act. You are killing somebody because they killed somebody you cared about. You are breaking somebody's things because somebody broke your things. You are not getting justice for the crime that has been committed. You are simply committing the crime again. And therein lies the biggest problem. Now, of course, I say that, but I still feel like the biggest problem with vengeance stories is that they require you to have absolutely no sense of, justice and self and intelligence. As one thing if it's a completely unrelated story, like it's a standalone story, the character gets shot, dies, or has one of his family members shot and they die, and so your character goes out on a quest to seek vengeance. Possibly one of the better versions of this was Fallout New Vegas. I didn't really much care for the story of it itself, but the game was by and far still one of my favorite Fallout games of the series. But the story itself was essentially a vengeance story. You were the postman, you got shot by Benny, you didn't die, and now you're seeking vengeance against him for shooting you. So what is, if I may say, what is the difference between vengeance and justice? Well, first of all, vengeance is a personal act of selfishness. You're going out seeking the person who did you wrong and wronging them back. I wrong you, you wrong me. well, you wrong me and I wrong you, sort of thing. And as such, it doesn't, you're just creating an endless cycle. You know, the old story, an eye for an eye. Well, if you take this person's eye because they took your eye, then their family is entitled to your eye or your other eye, or the person who committed the eye removal on your behalf, their eye. And in the end, an eye for an eye leaves the entire world blind. Man, vengeance stories really got a lot of adages about them, right? A lot of warning, a lot of hey, don't do this, it's stupid. I mean, like the whole story, if you seek vengeance, dig two graves, sort of thing, because one for them and one for you. But it's funny how the whole time people are warning you about the dangers and the stupidity of vengeance, and yet for some reason people still like vengeance stories. Now, I'm not going to lie and say that there is no catharsis in vengeance, but again, catharsis is selfish. It's about you. Now, moving back to the question I asked, which is the difference between justice and vengeance. Well, first of all, vengeance being selfish, justice is for the betterment of the community. Now, you get a guy who goes out there and kills somebody. Badness, evil, we don't like. Vengeance, you kill him for killing somebody. But then turns around, oh, wait. He didn't kill him on purpose. He dropped something, and it triggered a Rube Goldberg machine that accidentally shot his friend, and now he's upset about it. And he really feels that remorse. It wasn't an intentional killing. Oh, but then you killed him. You know who's guilty in this case? You. Yeah, don't go killing people, dude. It's bad. Justice, on the other hand, would see that man serves some penance. Serves some penance, that's the word. He serves the community in exchange for the crime and badness that he has committed. He doesn't get off scot-free, which is good. So why didn't people just seek this vengeance stuff if justice is so effective? Well, the biggest problem is, of course, that justice is slow, and it's got to be, because it's got to be right. You can't just jump on the ball of, oh, this guy killed this guy, so we got to kill him back, which, maybe the community's saying, yeah, we got to kill him. That's not justice. Again, it's just a different form of vengeance. Justice seeks all the answers first and doesn't immediately just pin this guy with blame. Whereas, yeah, sure, The Last of Us Part 2, Ellie, spoilers by the way, Ellie goes and sees Abby beating Joel to death with a freaking golf club. Oh my God. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. She definitely did it. We watched her do it. We know she's guilty of the murder. So, vengeance is Abby getting smooshed by Ellie. Of course, I haven't seen the end of it yet, so don't spoil it for me. I'm getting there. But, just vengeance would be Ellie squishing Abby for the crime that she did. Justice would be understanding why, how, who, where, and what? Yeah. And now, I know justice is very slow, and it's bureaucratic, and in some cases it's political. But it is important for society to survive. Yes, I fully support the death sentence in some cases. Granted, I will allow for the idea that the death sentence is basically saying that you are absolutely 100% sure that this is what happened and why it happened. And this person deserves to die. Of course, always leave room for nuance. You always have to leave room for nuance. In my case, I support the death sentence for people who have shown that they cannot adjust to society. People who murder willy-nilly deserve instead to have that inflicted upon them so that they will stop killing our people. In Abby's case, I don't feel like she deserves the death sentence. Granted, one off. What happens if somebody else kills somebody else that she cares about? Is she going to do it again? She definitely needs to learn how to better deal with her emotions. I don't remember who it was who said it, but at one point I heard somebody say that vengeance is for the living. And if you think you are doing the dead person a service by removing the person who deaded them, then you are wrong on account of the fact that they're dead. They don't care anymore. They're the ones that have it easy. They're dead. They're out of the loop. They don't care. They're not suffering anymore in life. And you're the one that's doing it. Now, this has been exemplified very much, very well, I should say, in The Last of Us Part 2. Which is good, because I don't like vengeance stories, so a vengeance story pointing out the fact that vengeance stories are bad is a little bit better. So, this has been pointed out very well in The Last of Us Part 2, in that Abby hasn't matured to the level of adult yet, because of what happened to her father when she was younger. Again, spoilers, I probably should have said that, but we're going to go on with it anyway. But because you should be watching all my videos and be caught up with everything I've said so far. But anyway, and we see the results of her vengeance as she is emotionally immature as a child, but in an adult body, which is unfortunate. Because if she would have found out better ways to deal with her emotions, she could have matured and grown up and been happy. Ish. I mean, it's the apocalypse with zombies running around. Can't be fully happy. Well, that was weird. You can't be fully happy in that sort of world. But she could have been happier. Maybe she would have been able to be more emotionally stable and date Owen better. Something like that. Instead of whatever it is that she's doing now. Additionally, we see Ellie, who is and has matured as an adult, seeking what she thinks is important, vengeance. And you can see it, the major difference between the two characters, Abby growing into an emotionally stunted adult because of what happened to her father, and Ellie, who grew into an adult and then had the situation where her own father was murdered. Abby has failure accepting proper emotions. She doesn't treat people well. She treats people pretty badly. And in almost all cases is just not a person that you want to be friends with, so to speak. And Ellie, on the other hand, has friends in a community. And as she's going along, she realizes slowly through the story, though I think they're trying to kill they kind of killed that with the last scene with Ellie in it, but slowly realizing just how bad this whole idea of seeking vengeance is, and she's like, I'm going to give it up. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go back to Jackson. It's fine. This was a stupid thing to do. And that is emotional growth. That is smart. Now, if they try to redeem Abby in this story, then there's one thing that I do expect them to do, and that is for her to realize that it's her fault all of her friends are dead. It's her fault that she pushed Ellie to the point where she felt she had no other recourse. It's her fault that her life is in shambles. Yes, Joel pulled the trigger, but it is still Abby's fault because she is the one who made the decision to follow. Additionally, I will also say that Jesse's death is Ellie's fault because she should never have gone after Abby because vengeance is stupid. Not saying that there really would have been much in the way of a way to seek justice in this case, but justice is served in so much as Abby has sacrificed her entire life to a dark and evil demon. But what are your thoughts on this? How do you feel about vengeance versus justice? I know vengeance is swift and justice is slow, but vengeance is 50% accurate, while justice, in a perfect world, would be about 90% accurate. What are your feelings on this? How would you like to... How do you feel is best? But apart from all that, that's going to be it for me for today for this community show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you did, please go poke that like button for me. If you'd like to see more from me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Of course, as always, you are more than welcome. Leave a comment down in the comment section down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And again, if I can, you know all that jazz. And tune in next time. another topic at another time. And until then, good night.